Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're talking about Sorrento popping off. It's been a while since I've made a video like this, but Sorrento has been looking strong over the past few days, so I figured it would be an appropriate time to give you guys some of my thoughts surrounding this stock from both a technical and fundamental perspective. As always, we'll go over each topic that we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, of course, we'll be taking a look at SRNE on TradingView. I will give you guys some quick technical analysis surrounding this stock. It's funny, I haven't changed this green arrow at all since we last covered Sorrento in the last stock talk, probably close to a week ago now, and it is following this line pretty nicely. Obviously, you guys, I have no idea what Sorrento is going to do. These lines are always just general estimates of what could potentially happen, but it is reassuring to see this following this line, even beating it a little to some extent. But of course, that is on the back of some good news, which we'll cover as well. This is the most recent news. This is fairly breaking news as I'm recording this video, of course. Sorrento sees positive results in phase 1B trial of a toxin. I should have practiced that prior to that. I'm sorry I didn't. Epidural in cancer patients with reported intraceable pain. All right, so this is huge. I'm probably not going to give that a shot one more time, but this is good. It's the content of this that matters. All right, so we'll cover this quick. That is, once again, the most recent news. And then I'll cover this article by Investor Place, Mr. Thomas Neal. I really liked what he said here. It's titled, "Tread Carefully, but Sorrento stock could continue to bounce back." All right, so he listed some good points in here. We will kind of wrap the rest of this sector in through this article as well, because I do want to give you guys my general take on the sector as a whole, not just Sorrento. This isn't a stock talk today. We're not going to look at companies like Moderna, any of the vaccine players, to be honest, but I will give you guys my take, and this article does wrap in that take a little bit. All right, so before we do get into it, of course, I will ask you guys to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it, or if you're invested in Sorrento for yourself. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and of course, check out my complete portfolio and daily newsletter. First link in the description if you're interested in my exact trades on Sorrento and want my updated real-time thoughts surrounding the market in an email newsletter every trading day during market hours. Appreciate it if you do. If not, no worries. That said, let's get into this. All right, so Sorrento once again following a solid path, but keep in mind, you guys, this is these past few days, it has been on the back of news. So, of course, we will cover the fundamentals prior to getting into the technicals. I just read this, so once again, I'm not gonna give this another shot. Let's just read the contents. 17 subjects with advanced cancer pain received epidural RTX. I'm not gonna read that either. No dose limiting toxicities were reported, and a majority of patients reported meaningful pain reduction of 30% or more versus baseline. So 30%, I mean, if you're dealing with these poor people who are dealing with this type of pain, a 30% reduction is extremely significant. So good on Sorrento. Again, that's why I like a lot of these biotech companies so much, is because they're doing very tangible things for people who really need those things done. Sorrento, Nasdaq SRNE, expects to immediately submit to the FDA a request to proceed with a phase 3 trial. All right, so they are a significant way through this. If they're ready to go on to phase 3s with this, that means that this is kind of in the final stretch. Obviously, they do need to get into phase 3s, and phase 3s can take a long time as well. But it's good to see that they've made such significant progress here. And of course, this 30%, that's a good metric. That is very promising in regard to this. So again, that was the news specifically that shot Sorrento up in like the last hour or two of the day. Again, it was crazy. Sorrento was virtually flat for the majority of the day. Even, I'm pretty sure it was red, but I mean, all out of nowhere, it just shot up like 15%. So that was the catalyst for that move. Let's move on to this. Sorrento stock could be making a comeback after brutal August. Shares have moved higher in recent days. Why? News of the company getting FDA approval to begin trials of its STI 1499 antibody drug. But while this headline has put shares back on the radar of Robinhood traders, should you join the wave? All right, so this was the news that came out earlier this. Time is just mashing together. I can't remember if it came out late last week or early this week, but this was great news as well. Again, this STI 1499 antibody drug, this is COVID related, and this we'll finish reading this and then I'll give my little rant. It depends. On one hand, STI 1499, also known as Covigard, could wind up being a viable treatment for the novel coronavirus. Granted, the market for a coronavirus treatment probably won't be as massive as one for a vaccine, yet it may still be enough to further move the needle for Sorrento shares. All right, so again, this was the news last week that initiated that first significant move up for Sorrento. All right, and this is bullish. again, because this is why I got into Sorrento for the first place. I imagine this is why many of you got into it as well, is because Sorrento is working on a treatment as opposed to a vaccine. There's so many players in the vaccine space, and again, there is many players in the treatment space as well, but Sorrento is making tangible steps forward, and it's looking good right now. So let me keep reading. On the other hand, today's stock price may already reflect much of this potential. With shares changing hands around $9 per share, the stock trades for more than 3 times of its pre-pandemic prices. Yet SRNE stock today trades far below its high set last month, which is $19.39 per share. The question now is, will shares retrace their highs? It's possible in the near term. How? More positive news could send shares parabolic, as bears betting against this highly shorted stock scramble to exit their positions. That's important too, you guys. If there's a lot of short volume on the stock, which means a lot of traders are shorting this stock, and if it breaks their shorts, if it breaks the price that they have to opt out and sell their shares, buy shares to cover their shorts, then that will send a stock like Sorrento, which is already pretty small. We will look at the market cap right after this. That could send it parabolic. All right, so a lot of shares and a rising stock price is very good for parabolic prospects, I'll say. So are shares a buy? Yes, as a short-term trade for investors with a high risk appetite. Just don't go hog wild or expect this to be something to hold long-term. So again, I will disagree with him here. I do agree with him, obviously, that shares, especially with all that short interest, do have the potential to spike, because we've already seen it happen. We know that eyes are on Sorrento, all the Robinhood traders, like you mentioned earlier. It's true. And we saw this on the way down as well. When we saw so much selling off over the past couple of months, it just shows me how weak the market was. How many weak hands were involved with Sorrento stock that bought at the top, couldn't take it anymore, which is understandable. I get it. It's hard. But it just shows that there's obviously a lot of Robinhood traders on this. We did look at a metric probably a couple months ago now that showed that Sorrento was one of the most popular stocks on Robinhood, which is always a very, very dangerous thing. And again, it shows you who is involving themselves with the stock. But on the upside as well, again, you guys, what goes up must come down, what goes down must come up. And because Sorrento is so volatile, it brings eyes to it. Volatility is not a bug. It's not a bad thing. It's a feature of a stock. That's how I view it. So volatility does attract interest up or down, and that is good for overall volume, which obviously when it's on the way up brings more momentum behind it with that volume. So moving on, beyond press releases and headlines, what are the odds of Sorrento's COVID-19 antibody treatment turns into a marketplace product? Granted, the company isn't exactly the front runner in the antibody horse race. As George Budwell noted at the Motley Fool, treatments from Eli Lilly and Regeneron are much further down the pipeline. Yet similar to the situation with coronavirus vaccine stocks, a lack of the first mover advantage doesn't necessarily mean last mover disadvantage. I love that line, and I want to talk to you guys about that after this. Some antibody treatments will see a greater level of dosage, sales success. However, the high demand for treatments may mean also Rands gets a piece of the pie. I honestly don't even know what he means by that. But this is how I wanted to tie into the rest of the sector. So keep in mind, you guys, even though I am biased towards Moderna, many of you know that already, I still believe that there's hope for stocks like Inovio, Novavax within the sector. Stocks that aren't as far down the pipeline won't have the first mover advantage. That's almost a fact. But it doesn't mean that last mover advantage is completely, you completely disregard the fact that they could still have product market fit. They still could, like Novavax, like how Novavax just cut a deal with India. India is a huge market, and although Novavax may not be the first market, that doesn't mean that they still don't have the potential to sell a lot of vaccines. If they do establish an efficacious vaccine, they have India who will buy a whole lot, and that's a lot of money in their pocket, even though they don't have first mover advantage. So same applies to Sorrento. And again, Sorrento is taking that, what I've said so many times, the multi-pronged approach to testing. They have the test kits, they have the treatment. So Sorrento is doing so many good things all around, and like this news that we just saw about the cancers, they're working on so many things that aren't COVID. I know COVID is at the top of mind of so many right now, but many of these companies, Moderna as well. I just read a great article about Moderna branching out there. They're doing a flu vaccine. They're doing multiple other vaccines, and you have to remember, again, it's very easy right now, because COVID's so hype and it's the talk of the town, to forget that these companies are working on things that aren't just COVID. But obviously, COVID is the cherry on top. So, if Sorrento gets through this trial designed for rapid adaptive expansion and subsequent trials, it may be able to apply for emergency use of authorization, or EUA, by year's end. So that's huge as well. Remember, if this proves itself to be worthy enough, the FDA could give it this EUA, or emergency use authorization, and that is huge. We've seen this in the past. When you get that emergency use authorization, it's a tough one. When you get that's very good for shares. And again, Sorrento is a very small company, and it is very prone to going parabolic. So that, on top of all the other factors that we will talk about after this as well, make me just very attracted to Sorrento right now. But that's not all. The company has another COVID-19 product in its pipeline. These include diagnostics test, COVID trace, antibody test, COVID track, exactly right here, multi-pronged, and antibody cocktail, COVID shield. Positive news regarding any of Sorrento's COVID-19 programs could help move shares back to past highs and perhaps even higher. Yet despite the plethora of potential fully in motion, lingering red flags remain in play as well. So red flags, I would consider red flag the Robinhood trader aspect. And again, that is a fact. That's not speculation. It is so many Robinhood traders are on this, but once again, I'm not going to kind of get into almost the morality of that right now. But again, things go up fast and they go down fast. And when there is this consecutive good news, like we're seeing with Sorrento, so they're on a roll, they have momentum right now. It's very promising to have those Robinhood traders, to have that volume in a stock like this. So let's look at this right now. So Sorrento is currently sitting at a $2.75 billion market cap. Keep in mind, you guys, just for example, Moderna is at like 28 billion or something right now. It's almost exactly 10 times the size of Sorrento. And again, Moderna, I do think Moderna has a lot more promise as a company, because I do think that they are the front runner. Again, I could be wrong there. That is my opinion. Moderna is a front runner for an efficacious vaccine. All right. So I'm not going to argue that, but just to put things in scale. And keep in mind, you guys, the smaller a market cap is, the more prone it is to moves down and moves up with less capital. So it takes significantly less capital inflow or outflow to this stock, to Sorrento's market cap, to appreciate or depreciate the individual share price. All right. So that's why you see a lot of volatility in Sorrento. That's why I've been thinking you see it go up so fast. Just think about a ball, just like laws of the universe, guys. I'm not going to get super woo on this, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, you drop a ball from a high place, it bounces flat. The bounce back up is going to be high, just because it's 90 degrees up and 90 degrees down. So it's a very sharp move. So I expect a sharp bounce as well. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. We are seeing a sharp bounce. If we do bounce up, my short-term target is still about $14. I'm a lot more hesitant on the fact that we could see a rally up past previous highs, but I do think a bounce, just to kind of sum up my technicals real quick, is a bounce to $14. I think we could easily, we're sitting at 11 right now. I know we're after market. At the time of recording this, we're down a few percent after hours, but there's still a lot of potential in Sorrento. You're seeing volume pick back up a little bit, at least better than it's been earlier this month. So volume is definitely picking back up. That's a big buy bar you see right here. We are on the daily candles. Let's take a quick look at Sorrento on the 4-hour candles, because this is my favorite time frame for a medium term. Again, you guys, Sorrento's just looking strong. Like you can see here, it closed above. It's floating almost right at this 1050 level where it closed this candle on the 17th, or it closed this 4-hourly candle, on the 17th at least. So we're floating right around this area in after hours trading. It will be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. But again, everything is just, the stars are kind of aligning for Sorrento. Once again, there is volume coming back. We are seeing interest once again in Sorrento, as well as COVID. So that's what makes me bullish on the COVID sector as a whole, is we just got news of the US surpassing 200,000 COVID deaths. When that happens, obviously it's a tragedy, and I'm not arguing in the slightest that is a great tragedy. But headlines like that brings attention back to COVID and the reality that COVID is a sketchy disease. It is a dangerous disease. And again, that is obviously good for COVID stocks. Obviously, the news is what catalyzes these big moves up. But Sorrento does have the momentum. Again, just in the past week, they released 2 very positive pieces of news, not only regarding COVID, but in regarding a cancer treatment as well. So Sorrento does have a lot of positive momentum behind it. And again, I am personally hesitant on the fact that it will reach or breach these previous all-time highs. Not all-time highs, but these previous highs that we saw in early August. But I do think that it's very possible to bounce to this area around $14. We saw it spend a lot of time around here in that rally up and down as well. And we also saw it, I think I'll go to 5 years just to see exactly where this line is. So this line I've had drawn for so long, but this is just a line of resistance. The $14 level is a price that Sorrento has spent so much time around in the past. You can see on the weekly candles, Sorrento when it rallied up, when was this, 2015, 2016? When it rallied up in August of 2016, so almost exactly 5 years ago. That's funny, that's weird. Sorrento exactly 5 years later had a crazy rally as well, up to $27. So this is the rally that made me initially set that $27 price target. And keep in mind, Sorrento is working on significantly bigger things right now than they were. I have to assume, I can't say that for a fact because I don't know exactly what they were working on, but Sorrento, I have to imagine the problems that they were trying to fix today are significantly greater than the problems they were trying to fix back then. All right. And again, you just see here that Sorrento spent so much time around this $14 area. This acts as a very strong ceiling historically. So it would make sense to me just to see us at least once again retest that ceiling. If we significantly break above that, I think we could easily shoot up to $27 and kind of recreate this high that we saw 5 years ago. All right, so once again, I hope you guys did appreciate this video. Please leave a like if you're still here. I appreciate you very much if you're still here listening to me rant and ramble. Drop a comment down below. Please let me know what you're thinking about Sorrento, what you're expecting in the future, what other plays within this sector you're excited about right now. Always love learning from you guys. Always love talking shop with you guys. So catch you downstairs. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves,